Okay, hi ladies. So today, I'm Kelly. I'm the Handmade with Love Director for Operation Gratitude. And today I'm going to teach a class on how to make a fleece hat, how to get the most out of your material, and the fun little tools that I use to make this simple. So the very first thing everybody's going to need to do is get a pattern. We sent the link in your email and it comes out on 2 pages. Of course, I don't have one in front of me. Anyways, it's very simple to cut down the center, tape it together, and you've got your pattern. I made a cardboard pattern, okay, because I do so many hats that trying to trace a piece of paper just isn't going to work. If when you print it, the pattern goes over the size of the page, what you'll need to do is set your printer to fit 2 page, and it'll come out to the correct size. So we're going to begin with the actual fleece. Comes on a bolt. It's folded in half automatically. I don't unfold it. I lay it flat on my table, and this is how we're going to begin. So when I lay out my pattern, I've learned that I can get 4 here, and then this outside edge is going to get me another strip of hat. So where I'm sitting right now with this on my 24-inch table, I'm going to get 5 hats because I'm going to get the 4 here out of this and then down the side. So all we want to do is lay this down. Now, one thing, I'm going to take a step back for a minute, and that is that fleece has a stretch. Fleece stretches from edge to edge, okay? If you put your pattern on sideways like this, let me tilt this down just a little bit. Sorry about that. If you were to put your pattern along the edge like this because you think you're going to get more hats, the problem is that you will not get any stretch. The hat will stay at exactly the size of your pattern and none of your hats will fit. So this is a really common problem that I've run into with our volunteers calling me up and saying, your hat must align with the side. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my 4 patterns. And, very simple. On this one, I have a nice flat edge, so I don't need to figure out where it goes. And as you can see, I'm going to put a small gap in between them, usually about a ½ inch or so. We're going to trim over the top. Now, we're going to take the next one and we're going to stack it right on top. We don't want any gap between these because we're trying to use every inch of the fleece. So we're going to stack the next one on and mark it. Come over here. And once again, we're going to go ahead and mark it. So as you can see, I get 4 patterns. Each one of these is an entire hat. Why? Because I've got 2 layers. And this is also going to save you on your cutting time. If you do what I did in the very beginning, which was fold out my fleece and I would mark one and go, it is the most annoying thing you'll ever do because it takes forever. So we've got our 4 patterns, and remember I said we're going to get a 5th one out of this side because once I cut these out, I'm going to open up this outside edge. I'll put 2 on top of each other and we'll be good to go. So we're going to start cutting. I do not believe in scissors because I have very bad RA that makes my hands look like this. So I purchased a pair of electric scissors, and the link for these was sent in the email we sent you. It was for one called Pink Power. It is the exact same machine by the same exact manufacturer, but it's pink. There's also one that's blue and red and orange. They are all exactly the same. This will be your saving grace when you are cutting out hats, because if you try and do 2 layers with a pair of scissors, it's really, really difficult. So I'll show you why I love this little thing. It's going to get a little bit loud, so I won't be able to talk, but I'm going to show you how quickly I can cut out just 4 hats. Hold on, something. And that's it. 4 hat blanks cut out, ready to go. The only waste you'll have is this little piece in between. Now, one thing I didn't mention at the beginning is that you always want to have your selvage, which is this curled up edge, to your left, okay? Or to your right. It doesn't matter, but you must start against the selvage. And the reason is we want this piece over here to be a hat, which is folded over. If you were to cut your hats over here, this is open, you wouldn't get your extra hat. So it's really important that you start your patterns against the edge. Also with selvage, sometimes it'll have these little ratchet marks along the side that's used for stretching when the machine is made. You probably can't see that. Anyway, so we want to make sure that we're off of that just a little bit. So as I said, I now have 4 hat blanks ready to go, almost ready to go actually for sewing. Now, fleece has 2 sides. It has the working side, which is the good side, and the inside, which is the bad side, which is what we want on the outside when we're sewing. So my next step will be to what I call face them. And that means that I'm going to make sure that the good side is on the inside. So all I do is I move this one to the side, and I'm going to put this one on top of it. This is now properly faced and ready for sewing. The easiest way to figure out whether or not you've got the correct sides is that when you pull the stretch along the edge, this is going to curl. Really hard to see. But see, it's curling down. That always curls towards the bad side. So what I do, if I'm not sure, I will grab the hat, I will pull, and as you'll see, the 2 sides pull towards the bad side. So that way I know for certain I've got my hats faced the correct direction. For me, because I work, I'll usually cut 30 hats at a time. I will take these, I will stack them to the side until everything's cut out, and then I'll begin my facing. Rule of thumb, 1 thing at a time and get good at it. All right? So don't stop and face all of these. Instead, get everything cut out, and then we can go to the next move. So once I get these all faced, and again, it's really simple. I just lift one off. I put the next one on. And I do say ready for sewing. And a lot of you are going to go, well, what about pinning? I don't pin. Fleece grabs itself. See? They're not pulling apart. And it will hold itself together. As you sew, you might need to make some adjustments. But there's absolutely no reason to pin your fleece. Also, as fleece is being sewn, it likes to walk around just a little bit. And honestly, I find that I don't have an issue with it. I never waste the time to pin. It's just an annoyance, and then you're taking it out as you're sewing, and it's going to drive you absolutely nuts. Don't do it. So we're going to set this color to the side for a moment, and we're going to move on to the 5th hat. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to cut off this bad edge. You can see how hard that is. Okay, so I've cut off the outer edge, and as we open it up, voila, you have enough material for another hat. Now, when I do these, once again, I do it as 1 step. So normally I will have all of this edge after I've cut 30 hats. I'm going to have 6 hat blanks that are ready to be cut on the outside, but I've got to mark them first. And I'm going to give you a little trick here. So I'm lined up on my bottom. If you have to draw your line, do it. I'm just going to make 1 little mark here, and I'm going to move my blank up, and I'm going to draw the 2nd hat. Notice I didn't draw the bottom one, and you wonder why. I'll show you in just a moment. So I've got this one marked, but the bottom one is not. By the way, right now, the way this is set, this is the bad side down or up. Because I opened it, this is bad side up. Sorry about that. It takes me a minute, it's early. So all I'm going to do now is cut here. Okay, so I've cut the 2 pieces apart. Now I'm going to take the bottom one, I'm going to flip it over, and I've got the good side up. I'm going to take this one, put it on top, and they are already faced. And the reason I didn't mark the other one is because it would be on the bottom side right now. It makes no sense. There's no reason to do it. So instead, I'm already faced, ready to go. And that is the 5th hat blank out of the first 24 inches. So 5 hats. I found that you can get 7.5 hats out of 1 yard. Now, there's going to be a huge waist at the top of it. So if you buy 2 yards, you're now going to get 17.5 hats because you're going to use up that gap that was in between. But normally what I do is I always buy 4 yards at a time. And when I get to the end of those 4 yards, I've got 34 hats and virtually no waste. So I would highly encourage you to do the same. So our next step would be to sew. And in my last video, I sat here with a really loud sewing machine and nobody could understand what I was saying. So instead, I went ahead and I sewed some hats. So along this edge here, you have a 1/2 inch space within the pattern to make this. I try and go a 1/4 inch. And that's because I'm not a very good sewer. After the thousands and thousands I've made, I still don't try and make a perfect edge. I'm just not that good at it. And honestly, it takes too much time. Instead, I'll have this excess edge. It's kind of hard to see because of the light, but you'll see here how wide this is. It's too wide. And I know that. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take these guys and I'm going to trim that off. So and that's it. My hat is now ready for the next step. And as you can see, there's very little waste, but as you're going across anyways, you're always going to have some gaps and space. So cutting off that excess really isn't waste. It's something that we wouldn't be able to use anyways. Now, one thing I do want to tell you is absolutely be careful. I can't tell you how many times I've nicked the edge and had to re-sew a spot as I'm moving forward. The other thing is, as I'm sewing, I don't trim my threads, okay? Why? Because when I come to do this part, I can trim it anyway. So why stop and do that extra step? Like I said, 1 step at a time. So I didn't trim the bottom on this one. So off come the threads. I don't have to worry about it. Now on this one here, I'm going to bring a different one up. Put that one to the side. The bottom got a little wonky on me. I don't know if you can see it, but see there's a little excess here. And sometimes the fleece will do that. Like I said, it walks sometimes, not very often. Not often enough for me to go and pin them. It's just not worth the time. It's really not. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this flat. And because I've done, again, literally almost 10,000 of them, I'm going to do a quick trim on the bottom. I just trimmed off my thread and I made the bottom clean. So once again, we would then go around this edge and it's ready for the next step, which is the hem. So I have a few here that I've already hemmed. And yes, by the way, as you can see, this is a crazy and wild color. We do ask that our scarves be in a muted color and our hats, when they're knitted, be a muted color. Because these are something that at night and other times our troops may wear. So we want them to blend. But when it comes to these guys, these are more for fun. They definitely are warm. But the neat part about them is they can be rolled up really, really small and stuck in a pocket. But really the color doesn't matter. I have a former Marine on our staff. And he told me that when it comes to the color of these hats, if it is cold, he can have pink frilly flowers and he doesn't care. So we can have a little bit of fun with this, but please don't select neon orange or neon green solid. They're not going hunting. The other thing is these are going to both men and women, so let's not get big, huge flowers and children's print and things like that. Let's think about the fact that it's going to go to 2 different, sexes and adults, so we don't want something that's got baby bottles all over it. So anyways, now we've trimmed. And the next step is to hem. So you want to just kind of put your fingers inside, flip, and you've got a hem. Now, there's no requirement that this be a big one or a small one. Honestly, I go about 1 inch, but sometimes I'll go a 1/2 inch. It's up to you how they fold. You don't want a wide brim because you're going to, of course, waste the rest of the hat, but about 1 inch is fine. Now, I have a sewing machine that has an arm on it, so I, of course, would just slide this over and just let it sew through. It's quick, it's easy. Once again, I don't trim the threads when I'm done, and you'll understand why. Because you're going to have threads. This one is actually complete. So you're going to end up with a set of threads on this side, a set of threads on this side. It's going to annoy you. Finish all your sewing, grab all your hats, sit back in your chair, and then do the trim. So that's our next step there. Now we've got a finished hat. So we've done our trimming. We're going to now fold this inside out. All right. And as you can see, it makes a beautiful hat. It really does. They fit well. They are warm. Whoop, let me get down here. Comfortable. And again, when these are folded and rolled, they are very, very small compared to a regular hat. So give me just a moment. I'm going to tilt this up, seeing as you're not actually looking at the top of me. So when we want to send this to Operation Gratitude, we're going to fold it in half this way. We're then going to, if we have a note, we're going to place it right here on top, and we're going to roll it inside the hat. And as you can see, this is tiny when you're done. Use 1 rubber band, and the hat is ready to ship to Operation Gratitude. It literally is that simple to make a fleece hat. Start to finish, because I do them in this big cycle of things. On average, a hat will take me about 3 minutes to do. It's very, very fast. I was talking about colors. Here's some of my fun ones. I love this. This is wood grain. But you really can have some fun. There's nothing against solids. I use solids. Here's stars. I heart paw. Tie-dye, which is one of my favorite, which is also what this one is. These are the different colors of tie-dye. There's also a green and another purple. And then I think one more shade. I love these. And then just, I woof you. A lot of people have pets, so having a little bit of fun with your colors, your solids, that's great. Now, I like to use the Annie Pill from Joann, Blizzard from Joann's. The reason is, number one, they're on sale most of the time. If you find a sale, don't do one of the percentage sales. Instead, with the Blizzard, during the winter months, about every 6 weeks or so, they're going to have Blizzard on sale for $2.99 a yard. Sometimes you'll really get lucky, and on top of that, you can get a coupon. If you get the coupon, you're going to take it down to about $2.59 a yard. So when you do that and you start breaking it down, the hats can cost anywhere from 35 to 40 cents. Now, on average, when you're crocheting or knitting something, you're going to come pretty close to $1, no matter how good the sale is. So I find that the Blizzard also runs through my machine a lot easier. It doesn't fleece out my machine as often. For any of you who know me, I've already killed a machine with fleece lint inside. So it's very important that after you do a few hundred hats, you open up your machine and get rid of all the lint. It will bind around all of your gears. And if you're not lucky enough like me to have a guy named Bob down the road who can fix it, your machine can get seriously damaged and you're going to pay a lot of money to get it fixed. So instead, make sure you're getting rid of all the lint within your machines. Excuse me. Gosh, I'm trying to run into other tips now. Oh, I know one I didn't share with you. When I buy these pens, these are not Sharpies. These are Amazon garbage pens. They cost almost nothing each. You're going to burn through these. So what I do is I buy a pack of 30 of generic ones, and I can usually, I don't know, 100 hats per, and they're only about 20 cents each, so absolutely worth it. Now, if you get dark, okay, I've got some that are black. This isn't going to work. So instead, I found liquid chalk. All right, so these are white. They come in 2 different sizes in this box, a pretty heavy one and a lighter one. Key to success, shake it a lot, and then when you open this up, you're going to need to press the tip down and allow the chalk to kind of saturate it. But what's nice is you're going to get a white mark instead of a black mark that you can actually see as you're cutting. So again, I bought these on Amazon. There's a lot of different liquid chalk markers that you can purchase. So find whatever works best for you. I like the fine point best because the other one leaves this huge mark and it's absolutely a mess and it takes forever to dry. So again, liquid, which means as it comes out, it's kind of wet. So you have to let it dry a little bit before you do your cutting, or you're going to really screw up your blades. Whether it be regular scissors or the regular, the cutters, you got to make sure it's dry. So I don't do a lot of dark ones because of having to use that. Instead, I prefer to use brighter colors, fun colors, leopard print, and I just have fun with what I'm making. So, and I highly encourage you to do the same. Just have fun with what you buy. Now, one last thing. When it comes to the scissors, you'll notice I have a towel. If you try and use these on the hard surface, not only is it the loudest thing you've ever heard, but it will bounce everywhere. So what I did was I took a bath towel, I just folded it in half. The one thing you have to watch out for is sometimes you'll catch the nap and it'll stop you. You saw that when I was cutting out the first time. It was because I caught a loop. So if you have a smoother towel that doesn't have that, like a microfiber, you probably won't run into it. So it's going to actually make it pretty simple. So that's it, folks. That's how you make a fleece hat from start to finish. You're going to, again, lay out your material. Step 1. Step 2, you're going to go ahead and mark all 4 hats. You're not going to unfold. You're going to cut those hats out. Set them to the side. You're not going to do anything with them yet until you decide how many you're going to cut. Like normally I'll cut that 34 each time. And then I'll move on. Remember, you've got that strip. So when you lay out your pattern, it's really important that you start on the selvage. All right. And also that you don't go into the selvage because there's these little dots used for stitching. And also some of them will have a white tape sewn on the edge. You don't want that as part of your hat. So you're going to get 2 across, about a 1/2 inch in between, stack them right on top of each other, cut them out, do your sewing. And again, I do all of my edge, all of them at once, and then I'll come back and do each step. So you'll find that you'll save yourself a tremendous amount of time. Now, one of our other volunteers had asked me or talked to me about the fact they don't have a sewing machine. Doesn't matter. Because all you need to do is a simple stitch that whips around all the way down the hat. Once you hem them, it's up to you if you want to try and snatch for a blind stitch. Personally, I would go through. It doesn't really matter. So yes, these can be sewn by hand just as easily by machine. And I think that's it. Does anyone have any questions, comments?
Great job, Kelly. Makes it look so easy.
It
Could
really
you go
is.
over the numbers? Oh, for 4 yards, you get how many?
34 hats out of 4 yards.
34
and that is
hats.
if you lay them out exactly as I have described. And when your pattern, super critical again, your pattern goes along the edge, up and down like this, of the selvage. To begin with, cut out those 4. You'll have this extra piece on the side that you'll open and make another hat. Remember to face your material. So go together with the good sides together because you're going to do all your sewing from the back. And honestly, when you go and you do your hem, I mean, it's just so clean and easy. You just can't see it. But that's one of your very last steps. You're not even going to think about that until you get through all the other steps ahead. So if you're going to do 34 hats, you're going to cut 34 out. Then you're going to face the 34. Then you're going to sew the 34. Then you're going to trim all that excess around your edge. If you have a serger, of course, you don't have to do that step. Fair warning for serger owners, it eats blades. Fleece does. So it's why I've never invested in a serger, which would, of course, get rid of that trimming step. But it chews through the blades. So your call if you want to use it. If you're not making that many, then you should be fine. But if you make as many as I do, be prepared for your serger blades to get loose and just lose all their sharpness. So once we do that, we're going to fold it. We're going to sew the hem, trim it, flip it inside out. Your hat is done. Fold it in half, roll it up, put a rubber band on it, send it to Operation Gratitude. So one thing I did want to go back to, and that is the scissors. These blades are removable. This is the little guy right here. Now, because I do so many, this will cut out about 300 hats, and then the blades are definitely going to go dull. I actually take these apart and resharpen the blades on my own. Or you can just go on Amazon and spend 10 bucks and buy another pair. Again, interchangeable. The ones that I saw on Amazon, this was white or gray instead, but it's the same exact blades with the same exact setup. So all you have to do is look at your blades. You'll know which replacement one to buy. And then one thing I've learned when I put them back on the machine, I want to pull back on this black button here. I also want to pinch the sides, and the idea is to not break the edges of the plastic right here where they grab everything. Over time, these begin to wear. You don't want to snap them off by pushing these things through it. So I always push all my buttons so that when it goes on, it doesn't damage anything. But I have to tell you, these have been a godsend right here. And again, they can be blue. Somebody else has the green now. It's a different name. This one's called a Hawk Force, but there's a different name to it. Someone bought the pink power. It doesn't matter. As long as it looks exactly like this guy. All the parts are interchangeable. The batteries are interchangeable. And this will be your saving grace, not just for doing fleece, but for any other type of sewing you do. This is the simplest way to cut through it. And as you saw, I whipped out 4 hats in probably 45 seconds. And that was being slow. Also, because you have that 1/2 inch of give around the seams, don't worry about being perfect when you cut. All right? If you're a little bit off, it's fine because that edge is going to get sewn and cut off anyway, so you're never going to see it. Okay, I think that's it in all honesty. Now, when you're ready to ship to Operation Gratitude, go to our main page, scroll all the way to the bottom. Down there, you're going to see the box that says product donation form. We ask that you fill that out, even if you can't print it. All right? But if you can, we ask that you print them. You put 1 copy in the box, 1 copy on the bottom of the box. The barcode that is on there is for our internal use only. We do not pay for shipping items to Operation Gratitude. If you can't print it, what you can do is include a note with the barcode number, and then we can find that in our system. If you can't get on the computer and do really any of this, include a note that has your name, your address, your email address, and phone number, and we'll go ahead and take care of everything from there. But it really does help our team at the warehouse. If that barcode is in there, they can scan it as it comes in the door, send it off to the team that opens the boxes and breaks down everything throughout all of our programs. And I think we're there. This was fun. I really enjoyed being able to redo this video. As I